very first Legendary Hero Remix banner is here. If you did not watch the Anniversary Fate channel, you should know that Intelligent Systems is going to be moving older Legendary Heroes into a separate banner, and these are the Remix banners. This should free up space for newer Legendary and Mythic Heroes to appear more often, and the devs are also using this pool change to also buff the older Legendary Heroes. This time, Legendary Ike and Fjorm are both receiving new skills, and the best part is that these changes go into effect for all copies you already have. We'll be talking about those changes a little bit, and I want to revisit these older Legendary Heroes and talk about some newer skill options for them. Ike and Fjorm will be on this new Legendary Remix banner, but they're also joined by 6 other units: Male Chris, Legendary Hector, Legendary Lynn, Apotheosis Anna, Bernadetta, and Legendary Female Grima. The Remix banner will function similarly to the Double Special Heroes banner with 8 focus units and a 6% starting 5-star focus rate. The non-focus rate is set to 0% permanently, and also the 40 summon spark mechanic is also available for any of the 8 units on this banner. Pretty sweet deal if you really want one of these other legendaries or one of these awesome new heroes. We'll talk about what kind of skill fodder is available on this banner in the later half of this video. First up, Legendary Ike is an infantry swordsman, and he is free to get for everyone because he won the very first A Hero Rises contest. The Radiant Dawn Ike got a buff to his unique Radiant Aether skill. Previously, Radiant Aether is just a 4 cooldown Aether, but Radiant Aether 2 gets one more effect. At the start of turn 1, grant special cooldown count -2 to unit. Oh boy, now that is one amazing change. Basically on turn 1, Radiant Aether is going to go down to 2 cooldown, and this allows Ike to take 1 hit and instantly counter with Radiant Aether, assuming he is still using Warding Breath. Hitting Aether on the first counterattack is super good because Ike gets to hit a full health enemy, which means he should get the full amount of healing. Normally if Ike hits Radiant Aether on his second hit, he may heal for nothing if the enemy is on low HP, so this change is very strong. All Legendary Ikes will be receiving Joint Drive Res for free. This can give Ike +4 res during combat if he's near teammates, and he shares the boost to them as well. With Warding Breath and Joint Drive Res, Ike patches up his lowest 21 base res, and with the instant Aether counterattack, the big guy just improves his overall tanking. For the most part, Ike is a very simple enemy phase type unit. He gets hit, Warding Breath grants increased special charging, and he heals back up with Radiant Aether, plus Ragnarok provides distant counter. This buff is actually insanely good for one of Ike's most popular builds, which was Special Spiral. After combat, Ike gets -2 special cooldown, basically always putting Radiant Aether on a 2 cooldown or even fully recharging it. With Radiant Aether 2 and a Special Spiral, Ike can continuously counter with Aether spam, and it's a glorious amount of healing. While this is a very strong setup, Ike may still need Quick Riposte to secure 1-round KOs, so you can use it in the Sacred Seal slot if you want. For budget builds, QR in the B slot is totally fine as well, and you can use a defensive Sacred Seal like Mirror or Bracing Stance too. If you want, I could use a tier 3 dose stance, but his bread and butter combo is that Warding Breath to spam Aether. For B skills, a low skill is nice for a consistent combative boost. Now, for those who are highly invested Ikes, you could try to go for the one-shot KO with the Radiant Aether counterattack. You could use attack increasing skills like Fierce Breath, Wrath 3, or Fierce Stance. Honestly, this could be great for avoiding doubles from fast squishy units, but you also can't expect to one-shot everything, especially nowadays. If you want a little more offensive pressure, there is merit for a max speed focus Ike with things like the Speed and Subtle Seal. This build could be great with the Special Spiral build, and it gives Ike some player phase presence. However, if you want to run close call type skills, you may as well just run Fallen Ike instead. While these Legendary Hero buffs don't seem to be game breaking, for Legendary Ike he really just gets a bonus for pretty much any build you use. Very solid upgrade. Next is Legendary Fjorm. Fjorm is also free for everyone from Book 2, and her Ice Mirror special is now Ice Mirror 2. If foe is 2 spaces from unit, reduce damage from foe's attacks by 40%. After triggering, boost damage for unit's next attack by 40% of unit's resistance. Ice Mirror 2 got a much more fundamental change. Its damage reduction went from 30% to 40%, but its increased counterattack damage is now tied to Fjorm's res stat instead of how much damage she reduced. Previously, this created a weird dynamic where you kind of wanted Fjorm to take more damage to deal more damage with Ice Mirror. However, that's not exactly great for long-term tanking. With Ice Mirror 2, Fjorm can go full defensive, taking 0 damage if she can, and her counterattack damage will be consistent. Fjorm does have a healthy base resistance, and 40% of 34 will get her to at least 13 damage. For her new passive skill, Fjorm got Attack and Defense Unity. This is a straight upgrade over her old Attack and Defense Bond A skill, and now she has 2 spaces to work with to get +5 attack and defense, plus any stat debuffs on those stats get turned around for a major boost. Fjorm is quite similar to Legendary Ike as a melee enemy phase type unit. Lather has Destiny Counter, and Shield Pulse pre-charges Ice Mirror 2 at the start of the fight. Since Ice Mirror only works against ranged threats, Fjorm mainly wants to tank archers, daggers, and mages. She can be a great defensive wall if Ice Mirror stays charged, but sadly if she cannot get the kill on the first counterattack, then normally Ice Mirror won't be ready for a second hit. This is why Fjorm also does well with warding or steady breath. Her counter hit after Ice Mirror procs would give her 2 special charges, and that readies Ice Mirror for round 2 if necessary. Fjorm isn't very fast, so without major speed investment she probably takes a second shot, so having Ice Mirror to tank both hits is very helpful. Like Ike, for consistent 1-round KOs, Fjorm probably needs quicker posts, and it can also go in both slots depending on what other skills you take. To solve the issue of taking 2 hits and needing quicker posts, Fjorm can go for full speed based skills. Things like steady posture 3, low attack and speed, and swift stance can maybe prevent an enemy follow-up, which relieves pressure from needing a second Ice Mirror back up again. It may also get Fjorm doubles of her own, but like Legendary Ike, you're definitely fighting an uphill battle if you want to match the speed of the crazy new units these days. Unfortunately, Fjorm does have some identity issues. She can be really strong against range threats thanks to Ice Mirror, but it does absolutely nothing versus melee matchups, and if Ice Mirror doesn't proc, then Shield Pulse also becomes useless. If you want to utilize Fjorm's defensive stat line, it may just be better to drop both skills for the more generic Aether or Glacies and things like no follow-up or a low skill. Attack and defense unity is fine, but it can be replaced with skills like Fortress Defense and Res or a tier 3 dual stance to get guard in your build. Honestly, I was hoping Ice Mirror 2 would work on melee attacks. If you look at Legendary Female Corrin, she is basically Fjorm 2.0, except her defensive special works on melee and ranged attacks. While Ice Mirror is still great for handling ranged attackers, if you want a more all-around tank, then it might be better to find another special. Moving on, we'll now be looking at the skills available on this banner, and I'll give short descriptions on the 6 other units available. In the red group, we have Legendary Ike and male Chris. We talked about Ike and his buffs enough, but another benefit to these old legendaries getting updated skills is that they raise the value of those units for skill inheritance. For example, Ike had Warding Breath, Seal Attack and Defense 2, and Defense Tactic. Most would fodder him for Warding Breath, but now you can also use him for Joint Drive Res, which is a great skill all around. If you had any extra Legendary Ikes in your barracks, then they also got Joint Drive Res, so perhaps that can help you finish another unit's build. As for male Chris, he's one of those fast infantry swordsmen. His Blade of Shadows neutralizes penalties and inflicts -5 attack, speed, and defense on foes during combat. Pretty solid weapon, and Chris also comes with Spurn 3, which reduces up to 40% damage if the user is faster than the foe. It also grants an extra +5 damage on special procs, and it's the best close call type skill for combative purposes because the other 2 only grant after combat movement. Chris also comes with Joint Drive Attack, which is another great C skill on just about any unit. For the red group, this is some pretty good skill fodder, 2 Joint Drive skills, Warding Breath, and Spurn 3. Next is the blue group with Fjorm and Apotheosis Susanna. Fjorm has the still quite rare Shield Pulse B skill, but now she also gets attack and defense unity to the mix. She's the only unit with this skill besides Brave Dimitri, so very good value being added to Fjorm since Shield Pulse is kinda niche itself. Apotheosis Anna is the Lance Infantry Anna from Awakening, and she's quite fast for a Lance user. Her Apotheosis Spear grants +5 attack and speed against healthy opponents, and also lets Anna warp to allies within 2 spaces. This is very strong because Anna has a stacked support kit. She comes with Rally Attack and Speed Plus, and also Attack and Speed Ruse 3. If you can get the base Rally Attack and Speed skill, then you can get the Plus version and Attack and Speed Ruse all in one go. Additionally, Anna has Attack and Speed Form 3 and Joint Drive Speed, so insanely high value as expected from our Secret Shop merchant. With Fjorm getting a Unity A skill, I would say the blue group is one of the better groups just in terms of fodder as well. For green, we have Legendary Hector and Legendary Lyn. To be extremely clear, only Ike and Fjorm got updated skills, no other legendaries on this banner got buffed. However, now that we know the updated skills are retroactive, you may want to hold on to these legendaries in case they get something really spicy. For Legendary Hector, he's a fun enemy phase, distant counter axe armor unit. Thunder Armaments can stop a follow-up, and Hector has Vengeful Fighter to get a follow-up of his own. Of course, distant counter instantly makes him prime fodder material. If they decide to buff Ostia's Pulse, that would be really interesting because it involves special cooldown. Man, if they gave it 2 charges instead of just 1, that would be really good for team building. Now, someone who really needs updating is Legendary Lyn. Largely considered one of the weakest legendary heroes, Lyn is a green infantry archer with okay attack and speed stats and okay defensive stats. The main issue is that Swift, Mulligear, and Laws of Decay cater for a more defensive playstyle, and Lyn just doesn't make for the best tank. The idea, I think, with her build is that she's supposed to get hit, and then she has desperation for the player phase. However, Laws of Decay only works in the enemy phase, and you would basically be better off with Fury 3. Lyn's rare skill is Speed Tactic, which is still good, but we definitely have a lot more enticing skills nowadays. Laws of Decay would need one hell of a buff to make Lyn more enticing to use, and I'm not sure what new skill they could add on as well. Maybe if they gave her Deadeye, that would be good enough to make people want to get her more, but she's not exactly the best user of it. For our colorless group, we're back with Legendary Grima, just like old times. She's a flying colorless dragon, still the only one of her kind. Expiration is a distant counter dragon stone, and dragon skin is a skill that negates flyer effective bonuses and also gives Grima +4 defense and res. This Grima has a somewhat balanced stat line, so she can sort of be that jack of all trades type unit for a flying team. Her rarest skill is Res Smoke, which can help out magic heavy teams. To be honest, they may have already showed their hand at what Legendary Grima will get updated with. Halloween Female Grima got an updated dragon skin skill called Dragon Scale, and it also neutralizes fire effectiveness. Additionally, it inflicted -6 attack and res on the foe and gave +1 special charge on enemy hits, which is great for a distant counter weapon. I think this would be a great skill to just copy paste on Legendary Grima, and let's be honest, the new passive skill she's gonna get is probably a Rain C skill. Last up is Bernadetta, who's a powerful offensive cavalry archer. Her persecution bow grants more attack and speed and gives her desperation when under full health, so once Bernie takes damage, she's a very scary unit. She has attack and speed push 4, so she's gonna drop under full HP after one fight, and she also has low speed and defense for maximum damage output. You can get attack and speed push 3 from Patrine, so you can also get the tier 4 version and low speed and defense just from Bernadetta. Very nice fodder value. If you want, Bernie also has close guard 3 for support options. Obviously, Bernie is carrying this group into the skills to inherit, but if Grima does get that new dragon skill upgrade, then she may become a very neat flyer to have around. Zero confirmations on what Grima will actually get buffed with, but it would be a nice turn of events. As for this first Legendary Hero remix, certainly an interesting banner if you really want some of these old Legendary Heroes. Do be aware though that we actually have a double Special Heroes banner later this month, so if you want some seasonal units, then you may want to wait for that one. We also got a new Heroes banner in a couple of days, so it's definitely not a great time for saving orbs. There's just so much bait out there. Let me know what you think of this remix banner and the new skills for Legendary Ike and Fjorm. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.